Got to get separated. Here's the twist. Guy was on my own team. Tried to fight me because I talk trash. Bad leadership by me. Good leadership by Russell Westbrook. Look, you dunked on the own. Look at Westbrook. All good. Let's go. Let's get it back. Great leadership by Russell Westbrook. Bad leadership from your old buddy Kevin Wilde. But I learned my lesson.
Speaking of great leaders, Kyrie Irving. Kyrie had some interesting quotes this offseason talking about game-winning shots. This is a quote. This is the first time in my career where I can look down and be like, that guy can make that shot too. Well, the Nets blew out the first two opponents, so he didn't get an opportunity. Game 3, though, against those upstart Hornets, he did get that opportunity. Let's see how it went. Okay, there's Kyrie. He's passing. There's Kevin Durant. You trust KD? KD, oh, no. I see a podcast in the somewhat distant future of Kyrie Irving saying, you know what? Upon further consideration, I'm the only guy I've ever played with that can hit those shots. Those will be mine from now on. So, KD, unfortunately, you're 0 for 1, which will probably be what you end the season at, because I don't know if Kyrie's giving you another shot like that, but it was a good run while you had it. Nets fall for Hornets.
All right, let's stay in the NBA. You guys see this? Steph Curry over the weekend in practice hitting 105 straight three-pointers. That is literally 105 more than me and Ben Simmons could possibly ever hit. This was absolutely insane. There were a couple times where he actually thought he missed. He turned around to walk away. Nope. I'm still making them. He keeps making them and making them. Here's the thing. He made 105. He was trying to make 106. His head coach, Steve Kerr, watched all this and said this. He choked. The guy just choked. He couldn't make the 106th one. I guess he just didn't have it in him. It is very disappointing. What's the moral of the story? There is no moral. It's not that kind of story. Steph Curry with 105 three-pointers. Let's see a couple of those in a game next time. All right, moving on. Let's talk some Tom Brady. The 43-year-old Tom Brady looked at least 42 against the Lions on Saturday. 348 yards, 4 touchdowns in the first half alone. Most ever in a first half for Tom as the Bucs won big. But it came against the Lions. And Brady's Bucs only 1-5 against winning teams this year. Brandon, did this team prove they're contenders, or are we making too big of a deal about the fact that it was the Lions that they end up crushing this weekend?
Hey, for some, maybe, but for me, my position hasn't changed on this team. I've said it for, half the season now. They have real issues on the offensive side. But when you can play defense the way they play defense, they can do it all. They can get after the quarterback. They can score the ball on defense. They are phenomenal. And you have a quarterback that's won 6 Super Bowls. You are a contender. Absolutely. I've been saying it, for 3-4 weeks. Every year, I'm looking for that 2005 Pittsburgh Steelers team. Who is that team that's going to be right around 7-5 and then get hot in December, going to the playoffs, and then win the Super Bowl? I said, man, is it the Las Vegas Raiders? I thought it was, but then they imploded. And then now you look at the only people out there, and that's the Tampa Bay Bucs. I absolutely believe that the Tampa Bay Bucs can play with anybody, especially how Tom Brady threw the ball in that first half. Phenomenal outing by the Tampa Bay Bucs. I know Nick is probably going to go a whole different direction, but the truth is this. This team is the real deal.
Yeah, against bad teams, they're awesome. So, listen, you know the direction I'm going to go because I told you what was going to happen a month ago. I would argue nobody has been more skeptical of these Bucs and Brady at age 43 than me. And yet, despite that, 3 weeks ago, I said Tampa's about to win 4 straight to end the year and trick a lot of people into thinking they're Super Bowl contenders. They're not. The problem with the playoffs is this. By definition, you have to play playoff teams. So, we've got a sample size of a 15-game season. Let's just see how Brady and the Bucs look against playoff teams. Oh, that's right. Terrible. Non-playoff teams, best quarterback in the league. I would bet you his numbers against non-playoff teams are better than Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, again, it's a weird thing about the playoffs, Wilds. You only get to play playoff teams. So, no, annihilating the Lions and coming back big on the Falcons does not do anything other than prove what I thought we all already knew. If you can't get a pass rush, Brady can look as good as ever. Unfortunately for him, a pass rush is his version of midnight, and he turns into a pumpkin. Like, it's all over for him at that point. So that is who the Bucs have been from start to finish. So no, people are making too big of a deal of it if they think they're contenders.
Yeah, at the risk of derailing your whole point that you have to play playoff teams in the playoffs, are you sure the Bucs have to? Because they're either going to play Washington, the Giants, or the Cowboys. And I don't think when we talk about playoff teams, even though they're in the playoffs, they're not necessarily a playoff team. But the bigger issue for me is this. That game felt like the Broncos-Saints game where you pull the quarterback, off of out of FedEx, and but with none of the charm. They were missing 5 coaches, and Matthew Stafford went down. So I'm watching the game like, oh, all right, Brady's got 2 touchdowns in 8 minutes. It just felt more of like a exhibition game at some point, Brandon. So for me, it was the COVID contact tracing that kind of made this game a wash. There's nothing really that the Bucs could do to impress me because the Lions felt so out of sorts.
Look, there's no excuse in football. I don't care what happens on the other side, what happens in the other team's locker room. They strap up just like we strap up, and they got their butts kicked. And, Nick, the last time this team lost was in November, and you know better than anybody else. You've been covering sports for a very long time. It's about, can you right your wrongs in December, in January? This team is doing that. And you're right. We won't know until the playoffs. But I'm telling you right now, because you're a big gambler and you like betting on sports, you better bet your bottom dollar that this team will contend. Ooh. They lost 2 games to the Saints. Okay. They lost to the Chicago Bears Thursday Night Football. Yeah. They lost to the Kansas City Chiefs by 3. They lost to the Rams by 3. But guess what? This team is going to be exactly where they need to be come playoff time. I promise you that.
Home with their families? I mean, maybe. It's been a rough year. It'd be nice to spend time with them. But, I mean, you just listed those teams as if those teams don't all have one common denominator. They're playoff teams. Like, what are we talking about?
That's right.
I just honestly, we can talk about the Bucs getting hot. Hold on. We can talk about the Bucs getting hot. But if you want me to believe that, you have to present the case that if these 4 games that Falcons, Panthers, Lions, Falcons again, were the first 4 games of their year. And at the end of the year, they had the Saints, they had the Chiefs, they had the Bears. They still would go 4-0 going into the playoffs. They don't listen to you. But nobody's going to present that case because nobody believes it.
Let me give you an example.
Right now,
let me give you an example.
Please.
Let me give you an example. The Bucs is like my 6-year-old son. My son just turned 6 December 17th. Sometimes we go in the backyard and we shoot hoops. When he's missing shots, he starts crying. He starts pouting, "Daddy, I can't do it. Daddy, I can't do it." I say, "Son, think positive, like Russell Wilson. You remember Russell Wilson? That's your guy. Remember we were living in Seattle, Daddy's playing for the Seahawks, and I talked to you about how positive he is. Think about that and do that." And then all of a sudden he makes 1 shot. And then all of a sudden he makes 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row. That's who the Bucs are. 105. They've been trying to figure out in October, in November, who they are. They've been missing a deep ball. They haven't been able to run the ball on offense. And then all of a sudden you play these bum teams the last 4 games of the season, then you get in a rhythm, and then all of a sudden you have confidence, you have the mojo. That is what's happening in Tampa Bay right now. They are getting mojo and they have the confidence.
Jenna, counterpoint, Brandon's 6-year-old son, also not a Super Bowl contender. That also is possible. That's also the other possibility.
My counterpoint was that
it's possible that he's also not winning the Super Bowl this year. Maybe. I don't know.
Bucs get the win, their first playoff berth in 13 years. So it doesn't matter who they beat. Congratulations goes out to them. Now we see what happens moving forward. All right, time to talk some Fox Super 6. They've already given away $3.5 million already. All you got to do is download the free app, get your picks in before kickoff on Sunday for your chance to win some of Terry Bradshaw's well-earned money. For much more sports, stories, scores, all of it, you can always head to the Fox Sports app. Again, just predict the outcome of 6 NFL games, and you too could be a part of the big money earnings. We will take a break. Much more First Things First right after this.